Welcome to the Yorkshire Business Journal. I'm Ruthia Robinson, and I'm here with Jody McGregor, the founder of Gate. So tell me a little bit about Gate.
So Gate is something that I've been working on for the last 6 months, and I have always lived and worked in North Yorkshire, but most of my life it's been in very rural parts of North Yorkshire. So I grew up in Wensleydale, which is the Yorkshire Dales, and then I've also lived on the North York Moors for quite a large chunk of my life. And this summer, it sort of really hit me quite hard when I was looking at how businesses were operating, struggling to recruit candidates for jobs. But equally, there's a lot of people in the Dale saying, oh, I really need work. I want work. I want the right opportunity. And I think there's kind of this gap where I was trying to think, if I was looking for a job personally in my local town, where would I look? So there's the odd one pops up on Facebook. There's sometimes some on companies' websites, but they're not updated very often. So I don't know actually whether they're still live. There's some in the local newsagent's window. They're sort of scattered around, but there's no way of finding them all in one place. And I grew up on a dairy farm, and I know that my dad has been trying to get someone to work on the farm as well for like the last 5 years, but he's like, I don't know where to advertise. I don't know how to do it. So for me, it's kind of as much, I from the business side of it, I'm excited about it, but I'm also really excited from the community side of it, because I think there's a big opportunity to sort of really bring value to these rural communities with what I'm planning to do. So basically, at the moment, we're working on the launch of the job board, which is going live on the 30th of January. But in the run up to that, I've been speaking to a lot of people that are looking for jobs and trying to get word out and about what we're doing. So I've been building a database of candidates that are looking for work in different sectors. And now I'm speaking to different businesses that have got opportunities for these people. So almost sort of doing a bit of matchmaking. I kind of like the idea of job searching being as easy as using a dating app, because I think sometimes when a lot of these jobs are part-time ones or slightly unusual jobs, so wouldn't necessarily require the same recruitment process as something sort of city based, I suppose. So I want to try and make it a bit more efficient and a bit more accessible to the employers and the candidates, and help match them up in quite a sort of smooth way.
Okay, thank you for that great introduction. I had a joke bouncing around my brain, so I'm going to say it. I love that you compared it to a dating service, because I thought of farmersonly.com, and it's the funniest joke that I could come up with. Okay, so what makes Gate different from other job seeking websites like Indeed, except for the industry specific jobs?
So I want to offer a service that is more personal and still has that kind of community feel to it. A lot of job websites, they're very faceless, but my sort of main, I want to roll this out in quite a slow and organic way. So for me, it's been utilizing my network of the people around me, and the business connections I've made, and really reaching out to them, because I know one of your sort of points about marketing is obviously social media is going to be key, which yes, it is. But having run businesses previously, I'm still such a believer in word of mouth and referrals being one of the strongest way to get momentum organically and build a really strong foundation of what you're doing, and build trust with people who know you and are interested in why you're doing it. So yeah, that's kind of the approach that I'm taking to it, to try and have that point of difference, and that so people can actually get on WhatsApp and say, oh, hey Jody, I hope you don't mind me asking, but do you know if there's any jobs around about this? And being a real sort of trustworthy point of contacts, and people know your face, because I think with anything, whatever your brand is, it's always nice if there's a person there, isn't it? It makes you feel much more likely to reach out and get involved.
Yeah, having that human element is a key part of your marketing strategy, it seems. I've also noticed that when you do market on social media, you had this partnership with an influencer who also is very into gardening and agriculture. So tell me a little bit
Yeah.
more about these partnerships that you have with not only influencers and marketing wise, but also the local community and businesses?
Yeah, so one of the things that I thought is quite nice when we're covering a lot of different sectors is looking at people who are influential across social media and have a big following and doing a day in the life so people can see what kind of activities go on a day-to-day basis. Because I think sometimes people forget that work is also an opportunity, and it's not just somewhere that you show up, do work and leave. And I want to try and get that across to employers as well as candidates. What can you offer the people that are going to work for you? Can you help them progress with training and qualifications and things like that? And how do they get the most from this opportunity? It's not just a job. So yeah, looking at these partnerships with people who are like-minded and have the same values with what I'm doing. And Hannah, who did the Instagram takeover the other day, she is really passionate about building a community, and she's done that through the books that she's written, the charities she's worked with, and then now the project she's working on to create a farm and a visitor centre to try and educate people about farming and rural sort of life. So yeah, I'm trying to find people that align with what I'm doing, because social media is a fickle place, isn't it? And it's very easy to sort of get drawn down these different avenues and think, oh, they've got 50,000 followers, but actually who are the ones that have the really engaged following with the people that trust what they're saying and care about what they're actually doing? So whether it's an influencer or a business that I'm trying to partner with, I think it's really important to have the same values.
Okay, so you talked about working with others, but let's talk about who works inside of Gate. Tell me a little bit more about the workforce behind it. Is it just you, or do you have a whole team?
So at the moment it's just me, and actually as of next week there will be one more person who is coming on board to help with marketing and social media. So that is going to be her sort of main role, and also starting to sort of build our little network a bit more and just being another point of contact, because for it to be scalable in the long run, there's going to have to be more people involved. So starting to get the ball rolling with that. And I think as I want to start it in North Yorkshire, but the aim is to expand into the rest of Yorkshire and then gradually further around the UK. And one thing that I'm really keen to do is have somebody in each area, being a woman or a man on the ground, that is really involved in local communities, in rural communities, and helping spread the word.
I love your hands-on approach. It genuinely is really encouraging to hear. So let's talk about the business aspect of it. I understand that you're marketing to these local communities that are in need for employees. And according to UK government statistics, there's been a 1.3% rise in the number of people working in agriculture in 2022. So based on your own market research, how do you see the success for the business going forward?
Yeah, so I think having spoken to a lot of businesses and done some research, particularly in North Yorkshire and Richmondshire, there's been a lot of really positive feedback from employers saying, yeah, we need this service. We don't know where to find people, and we need a fresh approach to it. And it's been interesting as well, talking to a few people in the local council and different business networks, about the sort of struggle, and it's sort of becoming quite a big issue trying to employ people in rural areas. And I know Richmondshire is one of the few areas where the population has actually decreased over the last few years, and the areas surrounding it have gone up. So, for me, it's trying to be like, look, there are skilled people here, because I know that I live there, I'm around them, and there are great opportunities. So we need to try and match them up. And yeah, from a business perspective, I want to do it as, obviously it needs to be profitable, but equally it needs to be beneficial to the community and have more purpose to it than that. So I'm trying to keep it very affordable, because another thing that I find with recruitment services is that they can be very expensive, and a lot of these jobs and these employers can't afford to do that, and have been spent a lot of money on recruitment and had so little success. I spoke to a cleaning company who've spent nearly £4,000 in the last month trying to recruit, and they haven't gotten anybody. And you think that's a big chunk of money for some of these small rural businesses, and that's really frustrating. So keeping costs down and making it accessible to all of these different companies, I think, is really important.
Okay, so you spoke about making the business profitable, but having a community-focused approach. So
Yeah.
how will Gate make money? You said you didn't want to charge too much to businesses, but will there be a subscription, or will the website generate profits from ads?
Yeah, so for the moment, it's obviously free to candidates, so they can just register and say, look, I'm here looking for a job. And they will also be able to access the job board, which will be paid by the businesses that want to advertise. So ordinarily it will be £40 to place your ad, and it will be on there for 2 months. And at the moment, I'm doing an introductory offer that's, I think, just £20 to get going, because I just want to get momentum behind the business and say thank you for supporting us as we get going as well. So yeah, compared to other recruitment services that have a person behind it, it's much more affordable. Obviously, you've got the likes of Indeed that are free, but they are personless in terms of how they're operating. So it's a small price, but we want to try and keep the personal side of it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the personal side. I know that launching this website has a lot of personal connection to you. I've read the story about your father looking for employees, but tell me a little bit more about how you hope that this will benefit not only your community, but other communities within Yorkshire.
So I think it would be nice to create a little bit of a buzz, particularly around younger people living in these areas. I know there's often a bit of a feeling of perhaps being forgotten about in these areas, and feeling a little bit kind of like there's nothing going for you, and feeling a bit trapped. So I think creating a community of people that are all looking for jobs, and something I would like to do is put on networking events, because I think that's really important. And I know in agriculture, there's a lot around mental health being done at the moment with farming, because it is such a lonely job, but it's such a big community of people that are all doing it. But it's how do you bring these people together? And if we can use Gate to do that, as well as help find jobs for people and help businesses, I think then, it's quite a special thing to be involved with.
Okay, so I love that you mentioned outreach in the form of networking events, but how else do you hope to get in contact with these people in often rural areas? I know social media is a big thing, but what other things do you want Gate to participate in to kind of get that outreach?
I think going back to having someone in areas going around speaking to these businesses is going to be really important. Because a lot of them aren't on social media. So we're not going to reach everybody that we want to. So it's going to be important to have someone who has local knowledge and is involved in the local community, that goes out and speaks to these businesses. And also just, word of mouth being very strong. And, utilising groups that, like the local young farmers communities that meet every, one Monday every week, being able to pop up at those and say, look, this is what we're doing, come and get involved, come for a drink at the pub, because that's what we're doing, it's a local thing. There's going to be a lot of that, which I know when you say that to someone who, I'm doing a master's in international business, so if you sat in the lecture and said something like that, they're like, well, that's not scalable. But I think from previous experience, I had a different business that was a subscription service for breakfast cereal that I sold at the end of last year. And it's very easy to think, I just want this to be big, I want it to be big, scalable. But actually, what you're doing in the start is building something really firm, strong, having an organic and really invested community around it. And that's what I'm hoping to do with this.
Okay, so I love how you dream big. So tell me, what's the wildest dreams you have? What does the future of Gate hold in your mind?
Well, I would love it to be the Indeed for rural communities, but still having energy and excitement behind it. So like I said, going back to the dating thing, if you get a match, it's quite exciting. If you're swiping through and thinking that job looks good, that job looks good, then it has a bit more life to it. And I think that's what some of these rural areas need. And if we can do it, I'd love to have an app that is as efficient as that. And I know that a lot of jobs require more of a sort of vetting process, but a lot of them in the initial stages just need people to get interested, see what opportunities are there, excuse me. And I would, I'd like it to be a UK wide thing that is as accessible as Indeed, but with a more personal touch.
Okay, so is there anything else that you want to tell me about Gate or the launch of Gate coming soon?
Yeah, so if anybody is interested in what we're doing, whether you're a business or looking for work in rural areas, or just interested in what we're doing and want to have a chat, then please reach out, because I love to have a chat and hear everyone's different ideas, and I just want to get this out to as many people and help get involved with what's going on in these rural communities. So yeah, please get in touch, check out our job board and social media and everything like that.
Okay, thank you so much. Your answers were amazing, and I hope the best for the future of Gate.
Thank you.